Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, and today I am going to be planting more potatoes. Now I know I've been doing a lot of potato videos, but that is because now is the ideal time to get your potatoes planted here in Central North Carolina Zone 7. But really this advice is for anybody living in zones 6 through 8. Generally, the horticulture information that I'm sharing can be literally applied to zones 6 through 8 without any trouble. Now in today's video, I'm going to continue what I showed you last week when I chopped up these potatoes. It's time to get these planted. I'm going to put those into one of my Joy On grow bags. Now I also got fingerling seedling potatoes from one of my favorite garden centers, Bell Seed, down in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm going to show you how to plant these in the ground, not only for you to be able to harvest in a few months, but to help deter browsing animals, things like deer, rabbits, and groundhogs. Creative solution for dealing with animals. I'm also going to show you how to get a head start on growing your own sweet potato. Now it's way too early to be planting these in the ground, but you can get them growing in another grow bag. So I'm going to show you exactly how I go about getting my sweet potatoes started now, so that in the long run I end up with an abundance to be able to harvest in the late summer and early fall. So stay tuned for a whole bunch of information on growing different varieties of potato. So before I get busy planting more potatoes, I have to first give you an update on all the potatoes that I already have growing. So you can see the bag that I first planted, that was back in February. That is growing super well. I've got it filled to the top with compost. Another bag these are the Cavine bags with this really cool insert. This is at the stage where it's ready to get more compost added. So the process here is really simple. You're just going to dump some compost in, and you're really covering up all that foliage. So you're just gonna toss it around, and so that'll be the final compost layer that goes in, because you can see it's basically up to the top, and all that vegetation that's covered, those stems will ultimately produce potatoes. So that's why you want to grow potatoes in a deep bag. That way you maximize the surface for the tubers to develop. All right, so I'll give you an update on this. My first Joy On bag that I've planted. You see, this is the one I did with Abby a few weeks ago. Everything is growing. It could probably use some compost topped now, so I'm going to go ahead and do that today. So again, we're just going to add the compost right on top, cover everything up. And then this is actually a pot that I planted and has been outside. Back in late February, I potted this. Or I planted these potatoes in here, and then I just added some blackberries as a short-term place to stash these. But you can see these potatoes are about the same age as the ones in those green Cavine bags, but because they've been outside, they haven't grown as quickly. But they were perfectly hardy for the temperatures that we have in the southeast, being planted in February, starting to grow now in the middle of March. And then these are the two that I did in my last video, so that hasn't even been a week, and they aren't growing yet. So I've actually decided that these two bags are going to be devoted just to these pieces of potato. That way I don't overplant them. I like to sometimes overplant. I can't deny that. But this really is kind of the perfect amount for two bags. So I'm just sort of spacing them evenly. And of course, once these are in, I'm going to layer a bit more compost on top and get them sited in a sunny location, and they will begin growing. we're gonna do sweet potatoes. So these were actually in my house. We just didn't get to eating these. And I noticed that they started growing. Now you could actually take these bits of new growth off and root them in water, and you'd have more plants. But instead, because we're still so early, really I don't plant sweet potatoes in the ground until June, and we're in like the 12th of March today, I am going to put them in one of my other fabric bags. I'm just gonna dig out some of this compost. I'm gonna plant these about 2 inches below the soil surface, cover them back up and let them grow. If we get cold, I can dolly this into my heated shed so they won't get frost damaged. Here we are in the middle of my front yard in the wave bed, which is currently planted with a mix of poppies, larkspur, and barley. But this bed does not have a very well-defined edge, and I'm constantly fighting deer and rabbits coming in and eating the barley, especially in the spring when it starts to go to seed. So I had the idea that I'm going to plant these fingerling potatoes along this inside edge so you won't really see it from the street. So the process for planting potatoes in the ground is super easy. I'm going to use my favorite tool, the mattock. I'm going to dig a trench about 15 inches deep, and then every 8 to 12 inches, I'm going to drop a potato in. I'll cover it back up, and all of these potatoes will start to grow in a matter of weeks. Remember, potatoes like full sun and loose soil, so always amend your soil before planting your potatoes. So for more creative foodscaping ideas to deter animals, like this strategy for planting a potato edge, you can visit my website and sign up for an upcoming webinar. I have it linked below in the description. And I look forward to giving you updates on all of these different potato experiments. And thank you all so much for watching.